Hello my friends, we are back with some awesome individual tower action. Today we're going to be talking about the beautiful little pink guy right here, the Tack Shooter. First off, the Tack Shooter's hotkey is W. Try and remember that because the Tack Shooter is a nice little tower to use in a lot of situations. So, first off, where should you put a Tack Shooter? And when should you use him? Well, you should probably use him more in the early game compared to the late game, but there are some good late game upgrades, especially the Blade Maelstrom, which does have infinite popping power, I might add. Very interesting indeed. Very interesting indeed. So first off, yeah, when you put the Tack Shooter down, a lot of people tend to put him kind of like, maybe something like this. They put him somewhere in the middle of where it needs to attack, and you can get all the tacks to pop all the way across over here, especially when you get the range upgrades. He's going to be tacking all the way over the place. What I tend to do, and I'm not sure if this really helps, I've seen pretty much no difference if you build it like this or build it like that as a low-level Tack Shooter. I've seen basically no difference in the amount of popping power between this guy and this guy based on just the positioning alone. So, do I think it really matters? No, and what I usually like to do is I like to put other towers kind of where this Tack Shooter would be. I'd, for example, want to get some sort of ninja here, or a cannon here, or something like that, maybe even a glue gunner over here, and getting the Tack Shooter in the way can sometimes be a problem. So I tend to try and stick my Tack Shooters right in that corner right there, because nothing really else can go there, and also it seems like there's pretty much not a difference in the amount of popping power. And again, it seems like most people like to put it down here, and I tend to put them up here. Does that make me a bad person? I sure hope not. Put it however you feel like it works best for you. That's the way I'm going to say it. Now, as far as upgrades go, there's two upgrades that are basically exactly like the Dart Monkey for range. There is the extra range tax and the super range tax. Should you get them? Well, you definitely shouldn't get them on a low-level Tack Shooter. You should only get them on a high-level Tack Shooter, whether it's a 2-0 Tack Shooter at least, or a 3-0 Tack Shooter, or definitely if you're going to get a Ring of Fire, get the range upgrades, my friends. Get the range upgrades for sure if you get a Ring of Fire, which is a 4-0 or 4-2 Tack Shooter. So range upgrades, yeah, they're reasonably cheap. That's the good thing about them. They're cheap, but they really don't help out that much overall, especially on most of the positions where you're normally going to put your Tack Shooters. You're normally not going to put a Tack Shooter like something like this and be like, oh, well, I'm just going to increase the range and just make him try and reach all over the place. Usually not what you want to do. You want to put him in some sort of corner where every single one of these little big tacky things right here are in a shootout and hit somewhere on the map. Usually you want to hit every single spot of the map, but if you have one little tack going off and hitting nothing, that's okay. It's not a big deal. At least you got 7 of them going out and killing some balloons, some evil little balloons. So that pretty much gets rid of the range upgrades. Yeah, they're helpful in high-level Tack Shooters, but not in low-level Tack Shooters. Now, as far as the faster shooting goes, this is the way you want to think about it. A 0-0 Tack Shooter is very good for early game popping power. He's going to be very, very inaccurate, though, which is a big problem for your early game. So usually if you're going to do something like this, you're going to need something that's going to clean up. So you're going to want to use maybe a Tack Shooter, just pop a lot of the red and blue balloons, and just get rid of the big chunk of change of them. Just make sure you get rid of a few of them, and then you want some cleanup. So, maybe like a Dart Monkey or something like that. So you just clean up the rest and make sure that nothing else gets through, because obviously most of us are no lives lost fiends, and we like to try and not lose any lives. As far as the upgrades go, you have a 0-0 Tack Shooter. Like I said, he's okay. Not usually what you want to stick with for a while, but if you just want to use one of them just to start off, just to get a little bit of popping power, he's okay. But then once you get to faster shooting, it's like, alright, he shoots a little bit faster. If you got some, blue balloons coming in here or something like that, he's going to be able to take down a pretty decent quantity of them. Definitely not a lot, but definitely a decent amount, and keep you chugging along with a couple Dart Monkeys in here to defend the rest of the balloons. But the key here, the key for sure, is definitely the even faster shooting. You watch those blue balloons go by. If you watch these blue balloons go by now, oops, I should probably slow this down. But you can watch, this Tack Shooter is just going to straight up demolish a lot more blue balloons. It's just so much better. It's basically unbelievable. I definitely do not recommend a 1-0 Tack Shooter, and I definitely do recommend a 2-0 Tack Shooter. So if you're going to get a Tack Shooter, go for a 0-0 or a 2-0 to start off with. I think that is probably the best way to go about it. Now, as far as further upgrades into the Tack Shooter, I usually don't recommend them. I usually don't recommend them in BTD5. In battles, of course, that's a different story, because you can use them in more effective ways, using a Ring of Fire kind of early in the game, around 6 or so. But as far as BTD5 is concerned, you usually do not want to get a 3-0 Tack Shooter. And the reason being is that there's other better towers that you can get. It's just as simple as that. A $500 upgrade that you've already spent almost $1,000 on this Tack Shooter right here, just $360 to buy it, and then you got the $210 that were already above $500. You buy another $300, you're over $800 already, and then you have to spend another $500. It's a lot of money, over $1,000 for that silly little Tack Shooter. Yeah, he can get some decent amount of pop and power in, but he's also very inaccurate. He's not very good versus the crazy amounts of group balloons that you're going to see later in the game. So you usually want to start getting something else by the time you get past this point. But a 2-0 Tack Shooter in a perfect spot, definitely a nice starting tower. He could take care of a lot of those early level balloons. But yeah, no, you can use the Tack Sprayer. It's not like you shouldn't use him, but he's not exactly the most effective thing to use. What this does allow is, if your Tack Shooter is not in a perfect spot, again, you're actually going to make him in possibly even a worse spot, because now you have 1, 2, and 3 tacks that are probably never going to hit those balloons. So now you're going from a 7 out of 8 hit ratio to a 15 out of 18 hit ratio, or a 5. What's the math on that? 5/6, 7/8 to 5/6. It's definitely a little bit of a change. Does it matter to you? Probably not. You're probably not thinking that crazy about the game, but it does matter to me, my friend. It definitely does matter to me. And I usually tend to try and stay away from this 3-0 Tack Shooter. Now, when it comes to the Ring of Fire, that's a totally different story, though, because the Ring of Fire can be used in a lot of different effective ways. Usually, I think that the Ring of Fire is not very effective just because, what would I rather? Would I rather try and save up for a Super Monkey, or would I rather just use a Ring of Fire? Well, the Ring of Fire is definitely a lot of popping power. Once you get this Ring of Fire up, you're going to see a huge change. So you can tell this little 3-0 Tack Shooter right here is dealing with these balloons. You know, he's just kind of getting rid of a lot of them. That's his job. He gets a lot of pop power. Not very accurate. There's going to be a lot of those that are just going to sneak through. Obviously, when it comes to combinations, you might want to think about using some sort of Tack Shooter and some sort of Spike Factory or something like that. You know, think about combinations. But as far as a lone 3-0 Tack Shooter, or just a Tack Shooter and maybe a couple Dart Monkeys, not very effective if you ask me. Also, about where should you put a Tack Shooter, you always want to put a low-level Tack Shooter in the front of the map. You always want to keep this guy up in here, because you know what? If you have all your Dart Monkeys attacking over here, you know, all over the place, they're going to clean up most of those balloons. They're going to start killing some of those balloons, and then you have a 3-0 Tack Shooter in the back. Most of the balloons are going to be gone by then, and the 3-0 Tack Shooter is not going to be very good, because again, he's not accurate. He's for cleanup. Your 3-0 Tack Shooter is going to do nothing if you got a bunch of crappy little towers over here. He's just going to try and pop some of these balloons. If it's low-level balloons, it's okay, but it's like, what's the point of your high-level Tack Shooter back here if he's not going to be even used effectively? No, you usually want to use your 3-0 Tack Shooter over here and have some sort of cleanup towers sort of near the back or at the end of the map. And as far as this end of the map thing, it's kind of weird, but I would consider the end of the map, you know, maybe somewhere over in this vicinity. You never usually want to pop things over here unless it's a Spike Factory. But once you get to the Ring of Fire, it's a complete game changer, because you usually want your Ring of Fire to be good balloon popping power, and you want him to be near the back because you're going to have Moabs and Ceramics coming out, which you need something else to pop the Moabs and the Ceramics before your Ring of Fire comes into play. Also, when it comes to the Ring of Fire compared to the other Tack Shooters that I was telling you guys about, when it's positioning like this or like that, what's the better one to use? Definitely you want to use the one that's further away from the map. It's going to allow you to get a lot more popping power out of your tower. Now the Ring of Fire has this entire area all the way over here where it's going to be popping stuff, where this Ring of Fire will only have from here to here. So definitely a lot more. You're wasting all this space right here for balloon popping power that you could have. You basically want your Ring of Fire to be right on the edge over here. Something like, I don't know, maybe like this would be a decent spot to have him. And then, of course, you got the range upgrades. And then you got this entire spot over here, all the way through here, and all the way over there, where your Ring of Fire is attacking. I don't recommend using Ring of Fire something like this. This is a thing that some people tend to do that I just don't really recommend. If you got some attack power here, some there, and some here, don't usually try that. You usually want all of your Ring of Fire popping power all at once. That's usually the best way to do it, and do it something like this. The Ring of Fire is good because it can pop lead balloons and rainbows, all that good stuff, but it is a low amount of ceramic popping power. So ceramics are just going to run right through. For example, you could pop, I don't even know, oh, that was the wrong button. I didn't want to send out a bunch of BFBs. But if you got rainbows in here, I don't know if it's going to take down all of them, but it's going to do a pretty darn good job at taking down most of these rainbows, down to almost nothing. almost nothing. Look at these rainbows. They're trying to sneak on through, but no. I mean, he is hitting his popping power limit here, and these rainbows are starting to sneak on through. But that was also a lot of rainbows. If we're getting all those balloons down to this little amount, the Ring of Fire is doing a pretty solid job. But once you come out with some ceramics, oh my god, the ceramics are going to have nothing happen to them. Even one ceramic. Not even going to get through, even remotely through one of the layers here. So you didn't pop any of those balloons. And yeah, I mean, it's just a waste of money if you got a bunch of ceramics coming through. He's going to do nothing versus them, so you got to be careful with that. Also versus Moabs, the Ring of Fire is going to do absolutely nothing. Now, when should you switch over to using some sort of blade shooter? Now, that's an interesting question, because first of all, you have to get the 2 range upgrades to get the blade shooter. Now, should you ever use a 0-3 blade shooter? Probably not. If you're going to use a blade shooter, you're always going to want this faster shooting and even faster shooting. Obviously, that's going to be much, much better for you to pop lots of balloons. You can tell the blade shooter is a pretty good amount of popping power. It's going to take down a lot of these guys. You just do a decent job versus them. Most of the time, you're going to go with 3-0 tack shooters or 2-0 tack shooters because those guys are going to be your just regular balloon popping power. The reason why you would use a blade shooter is because you want to get rid of a lot of grouped balloons. So, you know, blues, greens, all that good stuff. The blade shooter is going to be much better versus these grouped balloons because each blade goes through 2 balloons instead of just 1. Whereas a 3-0 tack shooter, each little tack goes only through 1 balloon, so you're technically getting a lot less popping power out of him. But the key here is not to go for a blade shooter in most situations. He's just not your best bet. He's okay, just not your best bet. He's decent amount of popping power. Overall, I would go with a 3-0 tack shooter in most situations. But the key changer here is the Blade Maelstrom, which again, like I said, is infinite popping power. Infinite popping power. Almost nothing else in the game has infinite popping power. I'm not even sure if the laser dart monkey guy, this guy right here, I don't even think he has infinite popping power. Persistent solid beam of balloon destruction. People have told me that it's not infinite. I have never really tested it out, but I think I probably should check that out eventually. The Blade Maelstrom, infinite balloon popping power. Unless they change that sometime in the future or sometime very, very recently, it's infinite popping power. So no matter how many ceramics you have, no matter how many of anything that you have, it's gonna get rid of them all. But at the same time, guys, you're not just gonna rock them by themselves. You need other support towers and stuff like that. And of course, the Blade Maelstrom is a lot better in battles. The reason why it's better in battles is because you got other support towers that you're doing stuff with as well. And also, obviously, I had a lot of freaking ceramics there. But each blade technically can go forever. Every single one of these things, they're gonna go on forever. No matter how many balloons it goes through, they're gonna go forever. And that's why they're so unbelievably amazing. Where should you use them? You normally want to put them somewhere near the end. Again, I would put them somewhere like this. I'd put them somewhere like that. 2 Blade Maelstroms right there. And what? Let's see. Let's see if these can take down infinite ceramics. I don't know. We'll try it out. We'll see if they can do a good job. Obviously, if you had glue or something, they'd be doing a lot better job. We're going to use both of these at the same time and see what happens. And it looks like, yes, we're going to take down all those ceramics very, very easily. 2 Blade Maelstroms. Basically, awesome. Awesome sauce. So that's pretty much it for the Tack Shooter. Just to recap really quick, you got the range upgrades, which you shouldn't really use very often unless you're getting 3-0 Tack Shooters or Blade Maelstroms, obviously. Just Blade Shooters in general, you obviously need to get the range upgrades. As far as the 3-0 Tack Shooter goes, I would stick mostly with just 2-0 Tack Shooters, and then after that, just switch over to a different tower. You probably don't need the 3-0 Tack Shooter. Just kind of switch over to something new and better that you could probably use. Ring of Fire is definitely something interesting to use. You use them mostly in the back of the map because they're going to be a good amount of balloon popping power if you can get rid of those ceramic and Moab layers. Blade Maelstrom, infinite popping power, so if you have a lot of problems on certain levels like level 76, 78, or just balloons in general, this is something you could think about using. The only real problem is obviously anytime you have to use abilities, they are not going to help you out as much on those regular, not so hard levels unless you end up using them every single level. So they're a lot more micro if you're going to do that. And micro sometimes makes you lose. I don't like to use micro every single level. I like to just let the game play itself. So that is all for Tack Shooters. If I missed anything or you guys want to hear anything else, or if you have any questions, go ahead down in the comments down there and I'll try and make that happen for you. Or just comment back and tell you my opinion on something. Of course, this is all opinion, and I hope you guys understand that it is opinion, not all facts, and we can have a good time together. So that's what I'm going to have for you guys today. As always, thanks for watching. Have a super duper delicious day. Hey there guys, I'm Super John Bumbo, also known as Chris. Hopefully you enjoyed the videos. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, like, or favorite any of them that you want to. Also, we've got a bunch of other cool videos here if you want to check them out. We got just a random video, we got Bloons Monkey City, or if you want to check out Random Knot series, those are personally my favorite videos to make. Also, we got a new channel here called Super Science, so if you haven't checked out any of my science videos and you just want to learn something, go ahead and check that out. Thanks for watching guys, and have a super duper delicious day.